Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here today with Bretonnia in the desert, going to be facing off against the Empire, so we've got a bit of a jousting match on our hands. Let's take a look at the builds here. For myself, I've got Peasant Mobs up front, second line of Battle Pilgrims. This is one of the few matchups where I think Battle Pilgrims are pretty decent with their ridiculous upside-down shields. They do pretty decent DPS, trade reasonably efficiently against state troops. Got three groups of bowmen, one with pox arrows, a damsel with lore of heavens, no life since I've gone fairly wide here. We've got Knights of the Realm and Knights Errant, as well as the Companions of Quenelle. And of course, Lewin at the helm. For my opponent's build, he's got a front line of state troops here, 2 units of Empire Knights, and this Demi-Death Star led by Volkmar the Grim, Jade Wizard as well, Hammer of Witches, unit of Halberdiers, and a unit of Flagellants. I really like this pick here, either the Archlector or Volkmar, supporting Demigryph Knights because of his buff abilities. He can basically hard counter Grail Knights, but I dropped Lewin down as a bit of a distraction to pull the Demigryphs away from the front line. That's going to then allow the Battle Pilgrims and the Knights to get in here and just wall up these units. The Empire Knights, obviously, the Knights of the Realm will get the better of this engagement with their anti-large. They do have worse armor, but just better combat stats overall, and the anti-large bonus obviously will swing that. Peasant Mobs would normally lose to state troops, but we're going to use the Knights Errant and the Companions to just charge quickly in this front line here, try and break up these peasants as much as, or the peasants, they're basically peasants, right? The state troops, as much as possible, and just help the peasants win out there. Lewin was able to escape that bait situation there. The Demigryph Knights did come back, but I was able to pull back up in the air without taking too much damage. You should be able to regenerate that away. Over here, you can see we've shattered that group of Empire Knights, so those Knights of the Realm paying for themselves almost immediately. Granted, Empire Knights are slightly cheaper, but still, very cost-effective trade there. You can see the Demigryph Knights are going to come over here to support this group of Empire Knights, which is still holding out. Volkmar tossing out his buffs, or it looks like maybe a heal going down. But regardless, those Demigryph Knights obviously going to clean up those Knights of the Realm very quickly. And I'm going to maneuver my Companions of Quenelle up and away. I'm basically just going to try and wait to get a good opportunity to strike with these guys. They're my only tool against the Demis, because Volkmar's abilities include this Grand Soulfire here, which gives 90% magic resistance. It's the reason that, one of the reasons why he can hard counter Grail Knights, any units that do magic damage for that matter, which does include, Grail Knights, I believe Grail Guardians, the Regiment of Renowned Knights of the Realm, several units on Bretonnia's roster of their high-tier cav do magic damage, so very good ability to have in this matchup with either the Archlector or Volkmar, but these poor peasants in the backline going to get absolutely devoured by the Royal Altdorf Griffites here, and these other Demigryph Knights. Volkmar, of course, at the helm, but that's fine with me. I'm going to hit these Companions of Quenelle with a Harmonic Convergence. Now, normally this would be enough to pretty much clean up these Demigryph Knights, but unfortunately they are a bit isolated there. There's plenty of supporting troops for the Empire, and of course Volkmar's buffs as well, the Grand Hammer of Sigmar and Battle, Grand Shield of Faith there, the Battle Prayers. They juice up the Demigryphs enough that the engagement doesn't go terribly well for me. Questing Knights here, the Companions lost quite a bit, so I'm going to sacrifice what's left of these Knights of the Realm here to screen them out, just pull them back into a position where I can wait for a more favorable engagement. Because I do have a pretty good numbers advantage at this point, I was able to pretty decisively win that infantry engagement. You can see pretty much all of the Empire infantry is scattered. We were able to get into the back line here and start to interrupt the Hammer of Witches. We've got some peasant mobs back here. This is pretty much the most cost-effective peasant mobs can be, is chasing off routing infantry or attacking like artillery crews. Even holding up these halberdiers for a while will be nice and cost-effective. The 3 units of Knights Errant, including the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis, have taken relatively little damage, mostly just been supporting infantry fights so far, which is exactly what they will excel at, especially against light state troops. So they're just going to hang back for now and again, sort of wait for a good engagement. I pretty much missed it, but Lewin got trapped and devoured by the Demis. He's getting currently pushed off the battlefield here by this Jade Wizard, which is unfortunate, but the Jade Wizard is going to have to go back to eventually start healing up his knights, so I should be able to get Lewin back from rout. Granted, he has stopped healing because, of course, this Ladies Champion does stop if he routs, but that does mean Beloved Son of Bretonnia is going to be active, so we can see here all units map-wide have boosted charge bonus. They have immune to psychology, additional weapon strength, and melee attack. So now comes the killing blow. The mobile anvil is going to be the Knights Errant here, and then here come the Questing Knights with another Harmonic Convergence online. 81 melee attack, 75 defense, 44 charge bonus, 49 weapon strength. They come in here, and the Demis, although they are incredibly powerful, no bust from Volkmar ready this time, and the Questing Knights just absolutely tear them to shreds here. You can see the high weapon strength, and the fact that the Demigryph Knights are so low in model count means that they are just going to get annihilated here. So up until that point, the battle had been pretty even. You know, Lewin getting routed off was pretty rough, but he's come back from rout now. Some Knights of the Realm were able to catch out this Jade Wizard here, and all of a sudden, very, very quickly, we were able to decisively turn the balance of power there and just crush those Demigryph Knights. So yeah, definitely a big fan of the companions specifically here, being a Regiment of Renown. You know, they're better combat stats and everything. Obviously, using that Harmonic Convergence to juice up their combat stats will really give them the ability to just beat down Demigryph Knights super hard with their superior attack and defense, and the fact that they have so many unit models. Volkmar routes here. At this point, it's just these few flagellants holding out. And I would just like to point out, this unit of peasant mobs started with an XP chevron, managed to get another chevron and a half by killing 5 artillery crewmen. So yeah, if you ever wanted to know how cost-effective peasant mobs can be, I think that is probably the best case scenario possible for peasant mobs, is to fight expensive artillery crew, because of course artillery crew have terrible combat stats and low model count, so they will definitely get beaten by a peasant mob, and being relatively expensive, that is super cost effective. So yeah, best use of peasants ever. Also, Battle Pilgrims doing quite well in that frontline engagement there, cutting up state troops quite efficiently. 121 kills, very nice. 75 here. Peasant bows did some okay work, mostly just spreading the poison around. Of course, the Knights Errant helping to support that frontline engagement as well. Very key. Not to forget the Knights of the Realm both picking up an XP chevron in their role, dispatching both the Empire Knights. Of course, the one was able to sort of hold out until the end with the support of those Demigryph Knights there and come back, but you can see the Demigryph Knights, 78 kills and an XP chevron for these guys, 70 kills, and I'm sure they would have got one if they could have. But 44 kills on the Hammer of Witches as well. Was taking some good shots, especially at the Knights of the Realm. Fortunately, I just had so many targets for it to shoot at, only having the one artillery piece. You can just see by number of units, I outnumbered the Empire force pretty significantly here. And I think that there's a few things that this Empire build could change to help boost their cost efficiency a little bit. Volkmar is decent, but at the same time, the Archlector's cheaper, and because you're going to be rolling him with the Demi squad and healing the Demis anyway, he will be probably one of the targets of those Earthbloods, so I don't really think that it's worth the extra cost to bring Volkmar and his healing item. I would probably just bring the Archlector on a regular horse and bring just these three here, the Grand Hammer of Sigmar, Shield of Faith, and Soulfire. And then from there, I definitely want to bring a Steam Tank. Steam Tanks are pretty good in this matchup. If your opponent doesn't bring like Hippogriff Knights pretty much, or the only counter for a Steam Tank, this can take pot shots at Cav. It's great at supporting against peasants. It even can support cavalry engagements reasonably effectively, but so we're going to take a Steam Tank, a couple units of Demis here. I do like that. Pick, of course, the Jade Wizard, very important as well to have here. So yeah, from there, I'm going to tank up on some state troops. Rather than taking the flagellants, we're just going to go super wide on state troops and not worry about the halberdiers either. Halberdiers are nice on paper. They're just too expensive to really pay for themselves. I really think they need to be like 600, 575 even. How much is Bretonnia's halberds? Let me see here. Even like Bretonnia's halberds aren't wildly cost effective. 500, yeah, I mean, they could easily reduce the cost of the Empire State Troop halberds, and they would be pretty decent. I mean, they're not that much better than the peasant halberds, and they are significantly more expensive. So I definitely think they could drop these guys down to like 550, 575, and it would make them a lot more of an appealing pick. Right now, spearmen are just, I mean, they're less than half the cost. They have basically the same stats. I mean, they're slightly worse all around. Obviously, they don't have the armor piercing, and they don't have the charge defense against all, but still, I mean, less than half the cost, and they still have serviceable stats. I don't generally go in that direction, so from there, a couple Empire Knights isn't a bad idea, but rather than them, I will just take a bunch of Pistoliers to give extra bodies. Even still, this is maybe a little bit more narrow than I would personally prefer. I might honestly cut one of these groups of demis and go with maybe some more Pistoliers, and then maybe grab like one unit of Reichsguard. We're a little bit short on costs on that, but might play around with this a little bit more. Maybe take the Silver Bullets, or you could also grab the Hammer of Witches as well. Give you plenty of range pressure. Some of your range pressure is mobile, other than the cannon itself. I mean, the steam tank's relatively mobile, Pistoliers are mobile. You've got plenty of numbers of supporting infantry. The Pistoliers can sort of charge in and bog down cav bodies if they need to. They're not too expensive, so you can kind of sacrifice them that way if you have to. It's not great, but then you still have the elite anti-large AP of the Royal Altar Pryphites with the Archlector. Just a little bit wider, basically, with the one armored kind of terror-causing monster. Of course, the missile attack is also great against cav, which helps. But just generally, I think going a bit wider in this matchup as the Empire is the way to go. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Certainly a very interesting matchup, as due to both factions' sort of abilities, there's a lot of play and counterplay there. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Channel memberships are live on YouTube, so if you want to support my channel directly through YouTube, be sure to check out that join button, or the Patreon if you prefer that, or just keep watching the videos. I also appreciate that as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.